Namaskar. I really wanted to be with you live today, but I have a friend who has a medical emergency and I need to be traveling. So please forgive me, but I am recording this especially for you. I never wanted to be a dancer. Having been brought up with a mother who was a dancer, who was a famous dancer, who was an extremely hard-working dancer, I thought this was all too much, that it was too much hard work, I didn't have it in me. And I saw that she would dance, whatever the situation. She would dance if she was sick, she would dance if she had leg ache, she would dance if I had a high fever. And that when I saw her going on stage, it was as though a light bulb was switched on inside of her. And I could never really understand that. Because all my friends were learning dance from Amma school, I was also learning dance, and I was constantly being told that I had whatever it takes in me, that I could be a dancer if I wanted to, but I didn't want to, it was too much work. So I learned singing and puppetry and theatre and did all sorts of things. But every time I would go into a competition representing my school or my college in dance, I would be told, you should be a dancer. I went through a long education, an MBA, a PhD, and then one day I woke up thinking, I want to dance. And then began the real journey, the journey of finding the self. Dance is so much more than being about the perfection of movement or the exactitude of the limbs, especially Indian dance. Because unlike Western ballet, where your sell-by date comes very quickly and where everything depends on how high you leap or how many spins you can take, Indian dance is in many senses like good wine. A young dancer might have a much more pliable body, can probably leap higher. But Indian dance is as much about Atma Manthan, about going into yourself, about taking what has been taught and filling it up with the experiences of life, with experiences that are filled not only with joy, but with sorrow, with loss. And because it is a discipline that is as exacting as it is, the more you have danced, the more you must rehearse. The older you get, the more you must rehearse. And unless each rehearsal is valuable, unless each rehearsal is not only the process, but the goal in itself, one tends to cheat. And who is one cheating? One is cheating oneself. Because it is my body that is the personification of dance. There is no dancer and the dance. There is just one. And unless I have the capability of taking my vulnerabilities and my pain and fusing them with the dance, so that it becomes a richer experience not only for me, but a richer experience for all those who might be watching it. Dance becomes pointless, it becomes mechanical. It becomes like a perfectly tuned robot or a doll that can do all the moves but doesn't have a soul. Our institution is called Darpana. Darpana is a mirror, because Amma felt that dance had to reflect society, reflect life. And in many ways, in spite of being a Bharatanatyam and a Kuchipudi dancer, my own sight has been into looking at the world, into seeing how I can see this language and translate it into what I think the world should see, what I want the world to be thinking about, concerned about, what I want the world to perhaps be thinking differently about. And in this process, in Darpana, led by Amma, now perhaps led by me, we have used dance not only as a search for the self, for the spirit, for the truth, but also as a language of reflection. Anybody who thinks that dance is something that we put in a glass cage in a museum and that tradition stopped at a certain space is missing the point. Perhaps when we first recorded classical dance in India, the central question of life was spirituality, good and evil, truth and lies. And that is why so much of our dancing speaks of those things, in parables, in metaphors, in stories, but primarily those questions. And those ethical questions are still very, very relevant. But there are other questions that are relevant. Hatred, violence, the way we treat women, the way we treat others, the very thinking of others, the way we treat the earth, the way we destroy our earth, the way we destroy ourselves, insecurity, and now with COVID, mental illnesses, and so much more. And most of us are afraid to face these facts. Most of us are afraid to go inside ourselves. And we at Darpana have tried to use not only dance but all the performing arts to get you to reflect on some of these issues. Not by presenting something that will put you off, but presenting something that is still beautiful and powerful as dance, but makes you think of something else. I'm going to share with you a piece we have just created recently called Arid. The children of the meek should inherit an earth whose rainforest lungs breathe a tale of waste. Should we dance or break into gnashing of teeth at the news of our inheritance? Children of the meek should inherit an earth where the grass goes nostalgic at the mere mention of green, and the sky looks out of its depth when reminded of blue. Should we dance or break into gnashing of teeth at the news of our inheritance? The children of the meek should inherit such an earth, then we ask of the future one question: should we dance or break into gnashing of teeth at the news of our inheritance? How do I dare to bring in new topics in classical dance? I'm often asked. And I always ask whether the asker has actually read the tome of Indian classical arts, the Bharatanaट्य Shastra. Bharata is supposed to have codified Indian dance and Indian performance. And in this huge book, he gives us rules to move the eye, rules to move the ears, rules to how much to bend your head to acknowledge the equality or the superiority of position of the person one is greeting, and minute things like books of etiquette. And then in the end he says, these are the rules, do with them as you want. And that is the license that I use. Over the last few years, I have been using the classical Bharatanatyam, rewriting or writing new songs, because I write in English, I write them in English and have them translated into Tamil, which is the language of Bharatanatyam primarily, and set them to the classical repertoire. So I would set them to a padam or to a shabdam or to a varnam exactly in the same format as has been handed down to us as tradition. But I ask questions that are relevant to me today. So I can ask Krishna, how in a world filled with hate, love can ever be wrong? And I ask Krishna, Krishna, tell me, if a man loves a woman and if the families accept, that love is accepted. But if a boy falls in love with a girl, so many questions are asked. What is his color? What is his religion? What is his community? Or if a woman falls in love with another woman, they are stoned, they are abused, they are rejected. Why, Krishna, when love is in such shortage around the world? And I ask these questions because these are the conversations that I have with my inner deity. For me, my deity is not outside. I don't go to a temple to find that deity. My deity is in the little vigraham, the little statue that I have with me. And I ask that statue, Devi, why is it that when I know you are only a metallic statue, why is it that I imbue you, I give to you the power to sway me? What is it that I need, that I have to give you that power to find the spirituality within myself? And I've written a Varnam about this. And I finally say, Devi, I need to believe in you, because in this mad world where so much goes wrong, where humanity is lost, where greed and corruption ride, I need to believe in a power that will make this all right, that will give justice to the injustice, that will give truth to those who have been lied to, that will give respect to those we have exploited. That is why, Devi, I believe in you. To me, this is my journey, this is part of my journey, and I hope to share it with you at some time in the future. Thank you for listening to me, and have a wonderful session.